Hey, how's it going? It's been a couple weeks actually. I didn't record a video last week because Flush and I played pretty late on Sunday, but I did lose in a three-game set. It was actually a really good set. I'm kind of sad that I wasn't recording for it because it was like I didn't do a video for it because it was a pretty solid set. It came pretty close. But this week we are on to the next one. We are up against the Jordan this week. Yeah, so I'm gonna be trying something a little bit new with I think the rest of the videos this season. Um, I'm gonna I'm, I'm gonna yap for a minute or two here. I'll put a timestamp to let you skip to the team builder or to the match or whatever. But um, I've actually I've really struggled this season with anxiety for some reason. And I can't I don't have a reasonable explanation for this at all. Like I can't really figure out why, but for whatever reason when I'm playing in the matches, I have like incredible anxiety. Uh I played Slushy last week. I was curled up in my bed on my laptop playing the game, all cozy, but I was like shivering with anxiety. It was rough, you know. It's not been good for me. I don't know why. I really don't. I wish I knew, but yeah, I think playing live matches and like commentating over them is not working out too well for me right now. So I think for this week and then the next 2 weeks, my plan is I'll play the matches, offline, and then I'll record replay reviews and we'll do the team builder. That way I don't know. I think that way it's a little bit better. I was a little bit less anxious with this match playing offline, like while not recording. So I think I'll just do that for the rest of the season, but we'll take it a step at a time, I guess. But yeah, yapping over. We're playing against the Jordan this week. Very talented coach, very great drafter, very good strategist, if you say. So yeah, it's always tough against some of these crazy good coaches. So I'll have to see what we can do. Like, spoiler alert, I've already played the match. I'm not going to tell you what the results are because we're going to take a look at that together. But before we do that, we'll just take a look at the matchup and see how it breaks down. Okay, yeah, so the matchup. I am 1-3, and the Jordan and the Old Town Orangurus are 2-2. So definitely still up for grabs in the division here. We have a very our, our bottom of the division is very weak, including myself. The screenshot, the standings here haven't been updated. I don't think my match has been input from last week yet, but I'm 1-3. I would be probably seventh, I think, because I have a worse differential. Yeah. The Jordan 2-2 right now. So win for him would be really nice for him for his season because we have two undefeated players in the division at the moment, and then Keith's only lost once. So, still fairly open at the top with a couple of weeks left, but every win matters. Everyone's going to be hungry for a win every week. The matchup here is pretty scary. This team is very versatile. Obviously, the first thing that sticks out is the rain mode, and that's what I've prepped for the most. Polytoad, Basque Legion, and Archaludon are an incredibly good, like, that's basically a VGC trio right there. You can just throw that on a VGC team and go crazy with it. It's very good. Throw in a Grimmsnarl, like Grimmsnarl with screen supports alongside a Stamina Archaludon is pretty terrifying. Having, he has Swift Swim, two Swift Swimmers actually. Very scary team. Like this is an incredibly well built team in my opinion, and it's very tough to deal with because you can prep for one thing and see another thing. And spoiler alert, that might be what happened. So yeah, but we'll get to that. There's also like the correspondent that we have the Slowking matchup here, Slowking versus Slowking. He has the Galarian Slowking, but we we're speed tied. We have the same speed stat, so it's something to keep in mind in Trick Room if he runs min speed as well. There's a lot of scary options here. There's like a Disquake. There's a couple of Disquakes. So you can Gliscor can sit next to Vikavolt. It can sit next to Electrode. Like Electrode can Terra Flying. You can Disquake there, or you can just Disquake with your levitating Vikavolt. Yeah, every Pokemon on this team is very usable. Even Volibee can, I think he's brought it at least once, maybe twice now. Very usable. On my side, spoiler alert, we will be making some team changes immediately after this video is being posted. We'll review those next week, I think. But for now, my team, I have the second fastest Pokemon in the match. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to outspeed an Electrode without another Electrode of your own or Scarf. So I can't really do much about that. I obviously have Prankster Tailwind or Priority Tailwind and with Gale Wings, but what I've found so far this season is that the two things, or I guess there's three things about my team that everybody preps for. One, they have an answer for Talonflame, so that I can't just press Tailwind for free every game. Two, they have a fighting move for Kingambit, and three, they have something to block my Kamo from setting up. So yeah, Talonflame I've not really been using it as effectively as I want. I've not really been using Kamo. I think Kamo has been doing pretty well, actually. I think Kamo might be my favorite member of this team right now. And I've definitely not been using Kingambit correctly. It's been not doing very well. And we're going to try to fix that going forward. But yeah, so that's kind of the matchup. Again, super scary team. Pretty hard to tell what's going to come because basically every option is insanely good here. And there's some interesting stuff that came out in this match. So we're going to hop into a replay review of the match and just talk through my thoughts about the match and just walk through it a little bit. A little bit different than usual. Usually you get like the nice like 30-minute live gameplay where I'm yapping and we're going through it and you see the emotions live, but I don't have that in me anymore. I don't think. I need to take a break from that. The anxiety's been too much. So yeah, we're just gonna look at the replays. So let's do that. I actually forgot the most important part of the team builder is the team I built. So yeah, let's go through that before we go through the replays. This week, Kingambit's coming along with Supreme Overlord. It's actually cut off, but I'm too lazy to fix it. The name of this ability is too damn long. The idea behind Supreme Overlord over Defiant is that there's no Intimidate on the other side. Defiant's a pretty obvious ability. Like it's 90% of the time going to be running Defiant on this, so you're not going to be as careless with stat dropping moves. So if you bring Kingambit in the back, having Supreme Overlord to get like a 10 or 20% boost on your damage is better than nothing. If they don't lower your stats, then Defiant is a nothing ability, right? And having the threat of Defiant regardless is still nice. So this week we're going to try to set up if possible. The plan is probably Trick Room. Idea would be if you can get a Swords Dance up on lead or in the back in Trick Room, then these Sucker Punches in Kowtow Cleaves with Black Glasses are going to do a ton of damage. There's not a whole lot more to say about this guy. I really need to start getting more creative with him. I promise I will the next couple weeks. I really need to start with more like off-the-wall tears and sets and stuff like that. But for now, this week, it was pretty straightforward. Next up is Komodo. We're bringing up the Choice Spec set again. I really enjoyed this set when I used it against LS. And ironically, or not ironically, but funny enough, that was the one match that I've won up until this point. So yeah, we brought it again. Soundproof is pretty nice. I'm pretty sure it blocks Snarl. I'm like 90% sure it blocks Snarl. It blocks like Parasong if he brings Politoed. Terra Blast with Terra Grass is pretty good into the Basculegion and the Politoed. Clanging Scales is a pretty good move because he has no real resistance to Dragon on the team. And then Aura Sphere is good because it kind of lasers the Archaludon, especially if he runs like a Power Up set and not an Assault Vest set. So we're not running any speed because, again, like I said, Trick Room has been my primary focus. I think I've done better in Trick Room than I've done in Tailwind. So this thing can still be pretty fast in Tailwind, but it's going to be a lot harder this time around because I'm dealing with a potential Swift Swimmer in the rain even with like priority and stuff like that. So Tailwind would not be free, but I should be able to get Trick Room up pretty easily, depending on the lead. Overquill is coming, and this is kind of our potential rain answer. Swift Swim. I have Swift Swim of my own. I have enough speed here to be faster than everything in the rain, including Basculegion. I'm pretty sure that's why this speed is like this. Running the Assault Vest with Terra Fairy, just as like a defensive Terra. Instead of Terra Water, I think Terra Water is a little obvious. If I run, I don't know. The Rain Boost is pretty nice for Aqua Jet and Liquidation anyway, so like Terra Water, it's good offensively, but I feel like Fairy might be a little better defensively here. But yeah, so pretty standard set, Aqua Jet Liquidation, Gungchunk Crunch, as much attack as we want, a little bit of bulk, nothing crazy. Arboliva is been pretty. I think Arboliva has been like pretty decent as my Trick Room sweeper. It's definitely done a lot more for me than King Gambit so far. This set's gonna look pretty familiar. I think I've probably run this set Life Orb with Energy Ball, Earth Power for our attacks, and we have Protect and Strength Sap. So Terra Ground or Earth Power does a lot to our Chalodon. Even if it's AV, it can still do a pretty good chunk because our special attack is quite high. Seed Sour, if we get that Grassy Terrain up, it kind of dissuades the Disquake a little bit more because it makes the Earthquake do less damage. So Gliscor kind of gets nerfed a little bit if he is running for that Disquake mode. Energy Ball obviously hits super hard into the water types. And Strength Sap is just good for healing. And reducing attack, there's a lot of physical attackers on the other team. So being able to reduce the attack of like that Bastia Legion, for example, or like the Cinderace would be pretty nice. Our boy Slowking, to be honest, Slowking might actually be my MVP at this point in terms of just like value to the team. It's my only Trick Room setter. It's been like, I don't know, the only matches or the only games in my matches that I've won, I feel like have been because of Trick Room. So this guy's, I feel like, probably directly responsible for almost all of my game wins and definitely my one match win. So he's coming probably every week, to be honest, with my team. Like I'm going to probably be aiming for Trick Room every week. So this week we have Chilly Reception as a way to potentially like get Trick Room up turn 1, press Chilly Reception turn 2, get rid of the rain, switch out, bring something else in. I almost ran Regenerator because that kind of synergizes better with Chilly Reception, but being able to be immune to taunts is just too valuable when you're trying to get Trick Room up. Like you don't. The Oblivious plus Covert Cloak combo means that the only way to stop Trick Room, or there's 3 ways, I guess, to stop Trick Room. Either you imprison it, you use a phasing move like Whirlwind or Roar, or you kill it. And it's really hard to kill a Slowking, especially if I'm EV'd specifically to live. Most of the things that can hit me. There are obviously like Electroshot, kind of a problem. Got to be careful of that. We're running Terra Dark defensively. Dark has an added benefit of making me immune to Prankster, so if they try to like Thunder Wave me or something with the Grimmsnarl, I would be immune to it if I Terra'd. It's probably not the best Terra, to be honest. I probably would have been better off finding a better defensive Terra that lets me live a double up of like Electroshot and some other move, but I mean, it's pretty tough. The other team is incredibly scary. And last but not least, we have Talonflame. We're running a special Talonflame this week because at the time of team prep, I was heavily anticipating that there would be some rain on the other side of the field. So we have Hurricane here. You're going to see that rain didn't come this week, so the Hurricane is kind of hard to press. And we have our Cloak on the Slowking, so we obviously can't run double Cloak. So Talonflame here is Terra Ghost with the Focus Sash. We're running Taunt and Will-O-Wisp. Pretty straightforward, nothing crazy to say here. Obviously, the goal would be to press Tailwind with this thing. Maybe Taunt something if I need to stop like a Trick Room from going up after I Tailwind, or, you know, burn one of the physical attackers. So yeah, that's the squad. You know, nothing super crazy or off the wall here, but I think that there are definitely tools here that will allow me to win. So, you know, that's the plan, obviously. So let's see how that went. Let's hop right into the replay review. Okay. Sorry, the layout's a little scuffed. I kind of just threw it together, but I'll try to come up with something a little cleaner for next week for this. But yeah, I think it's okay enough for now. You get the point. So, all right. First thing you see here when team preview starts is that there's no Politoed, there's no Basque Legion. Immediately that kind of throws me off a little bit because I was super ready or super focused on rain coming, but it didn't. The only weather here is like if Slowking wants to press Chilly Reception and give Slush Rush to the Beartic. So at this point, it's fairly obvious that, or I wouldn't say it's super obvious, but it's like decently obvious that it's going to be Power Herb on the Archaludon. It's maybe not like super obvious because you could just not run Electroshot, but Electroshot's pretty good into my team in general. Like it kills Slowking. That's the thing, is because you get a free +1 with it, Power Herb Electroshot is a problem. And you know, like I could have run like Terra Grounds to be immune to that, but the problem is that it's a rain team also. So it's really tricky to, like, you don't want to, yeah. So definitely something to consider there. Electrode did come. So that thing's going to be super fast, and I've been destroyed by this Hisuian Electrode Pokemon in the past. Like, it's my nightmare. I hate this Pokemon. It's so mean to me. But yeah, so game one, and this is a habit that I've noticed in myself. I tend to try to go fast game one, and I don't think it's been successful for me, like, ever. Like, I always lose game one. So here I lead with my fast mode ish. Like, I don't really have a fast mode, but this is the fastest I can go, and it's the Tailwind here. Unfortunately for me, on turn one, he reveals Faint on Gliscor, which breaks my Gale Wings, and then Discharge comes out and just kills my Talonflame. So turn one, I don't get Tailwind up, Sag. And I pressed Aura Sphere here because Electrode gets an ability called Soundproof, which is, funny enough, the ability I ran in my Komodo this week. If he's running Soundproof, he's immune to Clanging Skills. So I press Aura Sphere here instead of Clanging Skills. We're going to find out later that this is Aftermath. So I go into King Gambit now because I can Sucker Punch this. But I'm kind of in a rough spot now because I don't have any speed control at all. You can see here I didn't bring Slowking game one. I tried to go fast, which is a mistake I've made too many times. Yeah, and so I kind of just get walked over here in game one. King Gambit gets doubled up and killed. I switched in my Overquill here so that I can change my move. I use my Terra Grass. I take out the Electrode, but it doesn't matter. I take a bunch of damage from Aftermath. I die to high horsepower. And Kamo is not 1v3ing this game, unfortunately for me. So Dual Wing Beat comes out and I am dead. And that is game one. Wasn't even competitive, really. I took one almost 2 KOs. I got completely blown back on lead. Pretty rough scene. It's been a pattern for me that I do incredibly poorly in game one, I'm pretty sure. And that's something I really need to start focusing on, is I need a better plan for each game one. So, but you know, it's a best of 3. You have a chance. If you go to game 2, you can always make the comeback. Who knows, right? So we get ourselves to game 2 here. And obviously I'm going to lead Trick Room. So that's what we do. And this time we see the Cinderace come out with the Gliscor. So I don't know anything about the Cinderace at this point. I know that it's probably going to be Libero. It's probably going to have, like, you know, like a fighting move, a fire move, Sucker Punch, and then something else. I don't really know at this point. And from this Gliscor, we've seen Faint, we've seen High Horsepower, we've seen Dual Wing Beat. So obviously here, I can Terra Dark, right? You know, it's not like he's gonna press a fighting move into my Slowking. But like, there's not really a particular reason to Terra Dark here. So we're just gonna press Trick Room and go for Clanging Skills. Cinderace reveals that it has U-Turn, which I probably should have seen this coming because it's Terra Bug. So I didn't really cover the Terra type. So the Cinderace is Terra Bug. So when I see that, I should probably think, oh, it's probably got U-Turn. But okay, so I take a U-Turn, 56%. All right, I take a High Horsepower. I live on 2. All right, this game is over if I die there. Like, this is a 2-0, a quick handshake, go next if I die there. I live on 2%. Incredibly lucky. I didn't do the calcs for this to see like how close the roll was, but I'm sure there was a fairly good chance I'm just dead there, but I'm not. So I get Trick Room up. I get a huge Clanging Scales off, 75% to this Gliscor. I'm in a good spot. They use Faint to take on my Slowking. That's fine. And then they potentially were reading the Terra Grass here because this thing could have just Psychicked me, right? So they go for Sludge Bomb, but I didn't Terra. So I get off another Clanging Scales. Their Slowking also lives at 2%, which is funny. And now I'm in a pretty good position. Like, their slowest Pokemon is almost dead. I have 3 turns of Trick Room left. Things are feeling good. I'm going to switch my Kamo out here to get rid of those defense drops, and I'm going to Terra Ground because that covers in case this thing has High Jump Kick and it wants to High Jump Kick my Arboliva. And also Sludge Bomb was going to hurt. So Ground is just very good here. And then if it's since I didn't Terra last turn, he might switch it up and go for Psychic on the Overquill, so I switch into or Psychic in the Kamo, so I switch into Overquill because I'm immune to that. The Terra bug comes out, so my Earth Power does basically nothing, and then I get U-turned, which does an okay amount of damage, but we get the Seed Sower up, and Beartic comes out. So again, at this point, I know nothing about this Beartic. I haven't seen anything from it yet. But, you know, sorry, this is scuffed as hell, huh? We'll figure this out for next week. Yeah, so at this point, I know nothing about this Beartic. Yeah, I didn't realize that the replay UI for Showdown is like ever so slightly different than the actual game Showdown, like the game UI. So I'll figure that out for next week. Sorry. But yeah, so I don't know anything about this Beartic at this point. I've only really seen Sludge Bomb from this. But we have 3 turns of Trick Room. Still feeling pretty good. I have Aqua Jet, so I can just kill this thing. So that's what I'm gonna go for. I'm pretty sure here. I go to Aqua Jet into. Oh yeah. Sorry, I probably should have looked at these reviews or these replays again before I did this. But so what I did this turn is I didn't. At this point, I'm not really afraid of this Slowking. Like it's only if it had Psychic, I feel like he would have definitely pressed it. So at this point, I'm not like super worried about. Sludge Bomb's not doing a lot. Psychic, it doesn't have. I'm assuming it doesn't have it. I'm assuming it has like Trick Room, maybe something else. So I just want to double up this Beartic. I don't want this thing to Icicle Crash my Arboliva into Oblivion. I checked a couple calcs and there was a good chance I could kill it. Excuse me. Depending on the set, I think it was like a min roll of 93, so I could have killed it with the grassy terrain up. But I opted to just double with Aqua Jet and Energy Ball. This felt pretty safe and ended up being incredibly safe because he switched out the Slowking into Cinderace. So then I have a 3v2. I still have 2 turns of Trick Room. I'm very healthy. And we see here that it's Regenerator on the Slowking. At this point, I'm thinking that this Cinderace is probably Choice Banded because it has U-turn, first off. But we'll keep that in the back of the mind. Hydro Pump, I barely live. I get off a big ol' Earth Power. And I unfortunately here miss the Gunk Shot. But that's okay. I get High Jump Kick. I live another one of those. I'm assuming at this point that he's locked into that. But he's not. So he's not Choice Banded. And my Gunk Shot does 65%. Okay? I had calc for this saying that I was going to do between 80 and 90% with that Gunk Shot. I did 65%. That is a bulky ass Cinderace. That thing is bulked out of its mind. So yep, my Arboliva goes down. I bring out the Kamo and I can just crunch this time because I landed the Gunk Shot. So I take game 2. It's a pretty good bounce back game, and obviously that means I need Trick Room. I need Trick Room to win this matchup. That's pretty clear, right? So getting into game 3, think, okay, I need to get Trick Room up. And then this happens. So he leads with Archaludon and Cinderace, and I basically lose on lead. This game is over right now, unless he misplays. Because Electro Shot kills Slowking. Straight up. Like, I die. Because it's super effective. My Terra type is Dark, so I don't resist it. And there's also a Cinderace that can U-turn me. And if I Terra Dark, I'm still weak to U-turn. So in this position, I only see one win condition. And that is, since I haven't shown whether my Slowking has Protect or not, I have to hope that he is worried that I have Protect, and I press it. I did misplay, technically, here, and I didn't press Sword Dance on Kingambit. That would have been the correct... I think if I was going for that like super hard read that he thinks I might have Protect, and he targets Kingambit instead... No, actually, Protect was correct. Yeah. My only win condition here that I could see was I Terra Dark my Slowking. It's I think he sees that either he thinks I have Protect or he sees Electroshock kills. And he, for whatever reason, thinks I'll just take 2 KOs. I'll Electro Shot the Slow King with my Power Herb, and I'll high jump kick the King Gambit. And hope that neither Terra, I guess. So my play is I'm going to hope that he misplays, basically. The correct play is always to just double Slow King, because if I don't have Trick Room, I don't win. And that's exactly what happens. So I Terra Dark and I Protect, and U-turn does 57, and then we're going to see the Power Herb come out and blow me up. So at this point, the game is over. I don't think there's any way I can win this game. From this point on, I might as well type GG, because I have all slow Pokemon. This thing is now +1, and I just have no. I used my Terra. I have nothing, right? So I'm just gonna high horsepower misses, but I get one shot by Dragon Pulse because I can't Terra out of the Dragon type. I have 2 boosts on my King Gambit, but like I can't really do anything. I'm able to live a Dragon Pulse, but I can't kill the guy with 1 Energy Ball. He barely lives. And then he has Feint, so I can't Sucker Punch him. He's always going to be faster than me with that. So the only thing I can do is Sucker Punch the Archaludon and hope for like 2 crits. Like there's maybe a line where I get a double Protect and 2 crits, but I don't get a crit. So then he has a defense boost. I'm just screwed. So I try to switch it up a little bit, go for Sucker Punch onto the Gliscor instead, but he just goes for the Feint again. That's the correct play from him. Yeah, and so I lost this turn game, or this game turn 1. There was really, it was like the perfect lead from Jordan. He kind of, I don't know how, like if he drew this up, but it was just the perfect lead. Like he did exactly what he needed to do to just win. And I'm sure there were little plays I could have made here and there to maybe change the outcome a little bit, but I don't know. I'm fairly confident that without Trick Room, with the 4 that I brought, it was impossible. But even so maybe if I had led Talonflame instead and gone for fast mode, but again, hindsight's 2020. It is what it is. We lost a 3-game set. We basically are following the exact same pattern as I went through last season, where the first 2 weeks were 0-2 losses, and then I started losing a bunch of 3-game sets. But that's how it goes sometimes. VGC is a very fast-paced game. Like you could lose in 3 turns or whatever, right? So things happen quickly, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. But yeah, so that's the way it is. We're gonna be making a change to the team for sure. I finally caved and asked for some advice in the olds from the olds. I've gone. I think this is my 5th season. I've never once asked for prep help from anybody, or besides Goose. Like I've worked with Goose on some stuff, but I've never asked for prep help or oh, what should I change about my team? But this time I'm finally gonna change a couple things up. I'm kind of looking forward to using the changes I'm gonna make. We'll review them for next week once I haven't officially made them yet, so I'll wait just in case I get sniped somehow. But yeah, plan is to make a couple changes. We'll have it's not going to be crazy or anything, but we'll have some fresh faces on the team for next week. We got 2 weeks left. The goal is to win 1 more game or 1 more match. I don't want to repeat my record from last season. I would like to win 1 more. And then we'll talk about what comes next after that, I think. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully next week we can maybe put together something a little better. I don't like the presentation here. Like the overlays were pretty bad. I'll try to clean that up for next week. But until then, thank you for watching. And yeah, have a good one. We'll see you next time.